Hey everybody, Deplorable Bobby here. Let's see what I've got. I'm trying to see if anybody's here. I'm a couple minutes late. I don't know if I was live a few minutes ago or not. It'd be greatly appreciated if somebody would say something in the chat to let me know that I'm here. So as of yet, I see no one. So I guess I'm talking to myself. But I'm not going to let that stop me. I guess I'm just going to let y'all. Thank you, Margot. I'm so glad you're here. I wasn't even sure my chat was working. I was just fixing to kick back and say, oh well, I guess it's not working. Stephen Corson, thank you, my brother. I appreciate you. I'm so glad you're here. I love what you do, and I support you, and we really need to get together, and we need to talk. So I'm going to be putting my internet phone number here in a few minutes. I'm sort of waiting around till I get a mod to put it in there, but if you have a pen and paper, 3%er, I'm glad you're here, man. Trod and Bama here. Yeah, well, my mother's from Alabama, and I lived in Alabama for a long time. But I'm glad you're here, guys. I expected other people to be here already, but they're not. So if it's okay with you, Margot, I'm going to talk to you, and I'm going to talk to Stephen and to the 3%er report, and we'll see if we get any people in here. You know, I've got forbidden information. Thank you, Michelle. I'm glad you're here. D.A. Archer, my friend, my brother, I am so glad you're here. It looks like I'm getting a few people in here, and we can talk about a couple of things because we're friends. I don't know too much about how many people are going to come in, and I have turned off my count, so I don't know who all is here. But I want you to know that I've got some stuff to tell you tonight, and I'm going to be okay with it. Terry Christ, thank you, my brother. Liberty Smith, I'm glad you're here. So all my family's here. Forbidden Information, Bob, Liberty Smith, Stephen Corson, Michelle, Terry Christ, D.A. Archer, 3%er, Spirit Talker, Stake 59. I'm so glad you're here. I'll be honest with you, I didn't expect anybody to be here. It looks like, once again, I'm being walked on by a larger channel. And, you know, it wouldn't bother me so much. It really wouldn't, but it does. It wouldn't bother me so much if it had been the simple fact that this person went live on Wednesday nights, Friday nights, and Sunday nights before I started. But he knew, he's supposed to be a friend, and he knew that I go live at 8 p.m. on Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And this man has nearly 40,000 subscribers, and he likes to walk on my channel and take my mods and my viewers. Well, that's fine. I know who's here, and I know who supports me. Zepso, thank you so much for being here. I know that you came from Forbidden Information, and I'm glad you made the trip. I appreciate you being here. Dangerous Freedom, Ron, my brother, I'm not worrying about a thing. I know you won't miss me because you're my friend. And that's what this is all about. And that's what this channel is all about, is having friends. I've got information to put out there, no doubt, pardon me. But it's not all about the information. A lot of it has to do with the interaction that we have with each other and that you have with each other in the chat. It's all about social networking and getting to know people. Well, I'll tell you, I can tell right now, Disabled Vets Perspective, thank you so much for being loyal. You don't know what it means. And I had no intention of talking about loyalty tonight. But it just so happens that loyalty slapped me in the face as soon as I went live. It's not a problem. My feelings aren't hurt. but I do feel like I have been maybe too lenient or maybe too kind, or maybe I just trusted people that I shouldn't. So, as I see it right now, DA, and Three Wheels in a Block, hey man, how you doing? Glad to see you. We're going to talk about some stuff here in a minute, but I'm trying to get some stuff off my chest first. I'm not going to go and take the low road and name people's names. But I'm going to tell you this much. There are people who want nothing more than to put every small channel down. Somehow in their thinking, they think if they get together with a bunch of large channels, I'm talking 30, 40, 50, even 500,000 subscribers. These people are getting their heads together and they're saying, if we unite and we flood the YouTube with videos, it doesn't matter if it's videos, it doesn't matter if it's live streams, let's just flood the market with our content. And that way you're going to walk all over the smaller channels because you have so many subscribers. Of course, people are going to tune into you. But guess what? I've got people right here tonight. Michelle, Stephen Corson, Zepso, Spirit Talker, Steak 59, Margot Dahlgren, Dude Man. Thank you for being here. Evil Incarnate, I don't know what that means. Maybe you're calling me evil. If you are, that's fine. Haters are welcome here. Let's see, Spirit Talker, Liberty Smith. So, I don't know what you mean by I don't need bells and whistles. I don't have any bells and whistles, and I'm not trying to blow a horn. So I'm not really sure where you're coming from. But keep it up. Keep talking. We'll find out what you're talking about here in a minute. T-Raz, thank you. I'm glad you're here. And let's see, Flat Earth Forums. Patrick, I'm so happy you made it. I haven't been able to catch your live streams, but I've been catching your replays, and man, I tell you, I love you, and I love your content, and I love your dedication to the truth. So thank you for being here, Flat Earth Forums. Thank you very much. And you're right, Zeb. So we will grow. Jesus is with us. Because, you know, it says in the Bible, it says, not every one that says, Lord, Lord, will see heaven. So just because people claim to be Christians and because they claim to be on the side of good does not mean that they are. There are wolves in sheep's clothing. And anyone who would try to put down another person or another channel just because they can is not right. I'm not going to go as far to say it's evil, but it's not right. It's not right to step on people that you're supposed to be friends with. But as this person has said in the past, he's too important to worry about we small channels. So I'm done with that. And my feelings aren't hurt. I pray for the man. I pray for him because he needs it. He needs it. The narcissism has gone to the point to where he can't see right or wrong anymore. He's so important that nobody else matters. But here's what matters. Did you hear today that Trump was compared to George Wallace? Did you hear that today? I didn't really want to, I have no information on this topic other than the headline. I just saw it as I was sitting down to do this when I was looking at my phone. It said, Joe compares Trump to George Wallace. Well, I remember George Wallace, and I doubt if many of you do. George Wallace was the Alabama governor way back when. And he was around when Lester Maddox was the governor of Georgia. And they were both total racist. I mean, they were racist to the core. I mean, that's a fact. Don't get me wrong. I lived during that time, but I was just a kid. But I remember George Wallace, and I remember Lester Maddox for their hate and their racist ideals and their racist opinions. So I don't think that Trump is in the same category with George Wallace or Lester Maddox. So I think that's a misnomer right there off the top. Said, 3%er, I met George Wallace right before he died. Yeah, I was lucky enough as a child. I don't know if it was lucky or not, but I was lucky enough as a child. I was 12 years old, and my father knew a lot of people in high places. And I got to be a page at the Capitol of Georgia when I was 12 years old. I was a page for Senator Cy Chapman at that time, and all I did was run papers here, run papers there, send messages to this guy, because, you know, they didn't have the internet and the phones and all that back then, so we were runners is all we were. We ran information from one place to another, got them a Coke or a cup of coffee, whatever they needed. But I got to meet Lester Maddox, and I'm going to tell you, he was a little bitty squatty guy. He was bald, wore big glasses. He looked like the typical racist, and he was. So I regret to say that I was a page in his house there at the Capitol when I was 12 years old. I was glad for the experience, don't get me wrong, because that's what got me started in politics. So I'm going to jump into politics right now. Stake 59, you did the same thing in West Virginia. See it? We're all patriots. We've been patriots all our life. Zepso said George Washington did nothing wrong. He was a man of his time, and you're exactly right. And that was just a time in history. That was a time when people thought a certain way in the South and a certain way in the North, and it had been that way for many, many, many decades. But there was a change coming, and finally the change came, and then you start getting these crazy butts in office. But thanks to Alabama, they're still Republican. Georgia's still Republican. So we're gonna keep fighting down here in the South. We're gonna keep it up. And you're right. Be a proud page, Zepso. I was. I really was. I got to go back to my classroom, and I think I was in the 6th grade, and I got to tell, we didn't have the phone. We couldn't take pictures or videos, so I had to describe what happened and what I did when I was at the Capitol, because I wanted these other kids in the classroom to know just how much fun I had and how it was such a great learning experience. But needless to say, in the 6th grade, most kids don't want to hear what you got to say when you've taken a field trip without them. So anyway, we're going to get started. We as Trump supporters all know that for 3 years, the demon rat liberals were certain they would eat his lunch, and they'd take his lunch money. Do you remember when you were a kid in school, did you have bullies? Did you have some kid coming up to threaten to take your lunch money or your milk money? Well, that's what the demon rats have been trying to do, and they thought that they were going to take his milk money and take his lunch. But just like the children that were bullies, remember, Trump is no pushover. He's not a slouch. As these dreamers seek the Demon Rat Party's nomination to face President Trump in 2020, I truly believe that these demon rats honestly believe they can be the next president. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but explain to me how these demon rats can run for office and have all these debates, but they're not going to win. Do they know they're not going to win? Do they not see the writing on the wall? Do they really believe in their sick minds that they're going to defeat President Trump? I don't see how they get this logic. I don't know where it comes from. I mean, Trump is a winner on every issue. These Democrats are acting like nervous Nellies, and they're beginning to worry a little bit right now. Many of the mainstream Dems are worried it's getting a little nasty. It's getting a little negative, and they're starting to turn on each other, but they're doing it in such a subtle way. But they're afraid that somebody's going to reach out and really go deep and cut somebody, and blood is there. And, that's what they want. They're waiting for somebody to draw first blood. Well, I'm waiting, too, for somebody in the Demon Rat Party, among these 2020 hopefuls, that they're going to draw first blood. And then maybe after first blood's drawn, maybe they will actually start attacking each other, rather than just bumping heads with them like you're playing bumper cars. I mean, this is politics. When are they going to get serious? And then you got that front runner, creepy Uncle pedophile Joe Biden. And he's looking really shaky. He's not standing too well on his own 2 feet. It's almost like they don't want to debate. They never answer the questions that the moderator gives them. And it's always double talk, and no real answers are ever given. I don't understand how people can watch these debates. I'll be honest with you. I turned on the first one for about 5 minutes, and I had to turn it off. I catch the recap of the debates off of Fox or some other news channel, but it's never worth seeing, and it's never worth listening to, because these people that are running on the Democrat Party for 2020 are useless. They have no hope, but yet they still fight. So equally upsetting is that creepy Uncle pedophile Joe Biden is the best of all of these 20. Can you believe that? Out of 20 people running for the nomination, he's the best. He was a loser as vice president. I mean, he served as vice president under the worst president in the history of the United States. I mean, he surpassed Jimmy Carter as being the worst. And Jimmy Carter was from Georgia, but I'm going to tell you, that peanut farmer should have stayed in Georgia. Because I remember what he did during the Iran crisis. I remember how they were threatening to kill our people. And I don't remember, I think maybe there was 12 or 18 people they had held hostage. It may have been more or less, I don't really remember. It was many, many years ago. But I do remember that as soon as Reagan became president, Iran turned those hostages loose. So for 3 years they held them captive. But as soon as a Republican got in office that wasn't afraid to slap them upside the head, they turned them loose. And you see, that's what we're supposed to have now. We're supposed to have a president that kicks butt and takes names. And in the first 2 years, that's what he did. He did make one mistake, but we'll get to that in a minute. Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren and Socialist Bernie, take my votes, Hillary, Sanders, are all going so far to the left that they're limited to the most radical of the issues. They've gone so far left that they can only comment on radical issues. They can't even comment on the topics of the day. Some of their supporters are even attacking the God, Barack Hussein Obama, the patron saint of the Demon Rat Party. They're attacking Obama. You got to attack Obama to attack Biden. Personally, in my opinion, they're starting to panic. It just isn't going well for the Demon Rats, and I think it's becoming more and more aware to them every day. They know they can't defeat President Trump. So I'm going to look in here. Margot, glad to see you're still here. Dangerous Freedom, I'm glad you're laughing at me. You're right, D.A. Archer. When Reagan he got those guys, you're right. And D. DeWan, a slap inside the head is an attention getter. You're right, brother. Thank you. I'm glad to have your comments, man. Let's see. One of the worst sins of my life was voting for Carter. Amen, Stephen. We've all been deceived. Tony Patriot, I'm glad you made it. They are making empty promises. You're right. And we're seeing it every day. D.A. Archer said, you guys have ever noticed, you won't hardly ever find anyone that will say they voted for 44 nowadays. And that's true. So who did they vote for? What was it, 2016? I don't remember. No, that was before that, because that's when Trump came into office. So anyway, I'm not worried about that. Patrick, Flat Earth Forums, man, I'm glad you're still here. But I'm going to talk about something about Trump that I'm not too happy about. And T-Raz, Tony Patriot, Dangerous Freedom, Liberty Smith, Dirty Rotten Imbecile, glad to see you, brother. I'm glad you're here. I just saw your name. And Flat Earth. I want y'all to understand, I am pro for Second Amendment, no matter what. So we got to talk a little bit tonight. And I just lost my papers. I hope still got them in the right order. But I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about President Trump and what he's doing and what's going on in our government when it comes to our Second Amendment. People, I'm worried. It's getting shaky in Washington, D.C. right now with the Second Amendment, with these false flag massacres that happened over the weekend, and then the false flag in California just a week before. People, nobody will ever convince me for 1 minute those weren't false flags. Those people were indoctrinated to do what they did. Somebody got to these people. But please understand, I'm pro-Trump. I really am. I love our president. But I regret to say, with all honesty, that I have somewhat against him. And lately, he's been wavering, and that bothers me. I know it bothers Dangerous Freedom and Liberty Smith and a lot of other people. DM, so glad you're here. I'm glad you could make the trip. Good to see you. You know, I pray every day to the good Lord that we haven't been hornswoggled by Trump. First of all, in the days following the Las Vegas massacre, President Trump was too quick. He was Johnny on the spot. The demon rats hollered, and he jumped to their aid, and he agreed to ban bump stocks. And he banned them, I believe, without having all the information that he needed to have before he made his decision. I think he wavered. I think he fell prey to the demon rats, and he's done it again. We were worried about suppressors. Dangerous Freedom and I talked at length about suppressors one day and about how Trump was going after the flash suppressors next because people called them silencers, which is absolutely a no-namer, and it's not the same thing. But anyway, I was thinking, along with Dangerous Freedom, that flash suppressors would be the next thing to be attacked. But you know what they're attacking? Effective March 19th, 2019, all bump stocks were to be destroyed or turned in to the government. Bump stocks aren't traceable. Bump stocks can't be traced like a gun can. It has no serial number. So the government had no real data on how many bump stocks were even out here in the hands of American patriots. And they still don't know. But yet they told you to destroy them. Turn them into the government and let them destroy them. But right now, I'm going to talk about President Trump, and once again, he's joining these demon rats to restrict our Second Amendment rights once again. by supporting red flag laws to remove weapons from people who have committed no crime. I know they're saying, oh, they're going to take the hands out of these loony birds. They're going to take the guns out of the hands of the crazies. They're going to take the guns out of the hands of people who have ever seen a psychiatrist in their life. And they're also going to take the guns of former policemen and former military people because they're unstable and have PSD or whatever you call it, PTSD. I'll get it right in a minute. But anyway, that's what they're doing. So now they're wanting to take away some more of our rights. I don't know why President Trump is doing this. He jumped on the bandwagon once again. And I'm going to tell you, he didn't hesitate to jump. I want to know why every time there is a reason for the Second Amendment to come front and center in our media and in our America that we love, every time it comes front and center in the news, President Trump sides with the demon rats. President Trump, if you desire the support of patriot gun owners, then I suggest that you don't support the red flag laws. You've made a mockery of our Second Amendment. You did that with the bump stocks. I know suppressors are somewhere down the road, but now you've even given up a lot of voters for what you just did. I'm sorry to tell you, Mr. President, many of we patriots simply won't vote for you again in 2020 if you continue your aggressive anti-gun laws and siding with the demon rats on taking our guns. Because I'm going to tell you, with this red flag law, you know what would happen? If your wife and you had an argument, or you and your neighbor had an argument, or you and your mother had an argument, or you and your boss had an argument, or anybody that you might know, if you had any kind of disagreement with these people, and even if you didn't, maybe they just don't like you, they can turn you in to the police, and it will be taken to a judge, and he will give them an order to take your gun because you are a danger. All somebody has to do is say, oh, I'm scared of him. I'm afraid he's going to kill us. Well, immediately, the red flag, hence the name, the red flag law. It's bad. It should never, ever be passed. And Trump supporting the red flag law is going against everything that we American patriots love, support, and believe in. And that is the Second Amendment. Without the Second Amendment, we are defenseless. No matter who you are or where you live. All it takes is for a person, one person. It doesn't have to be a doctor. It doesn't have to be the police. One person report you as being dangerous or potentially dangerous. They come and take your guns because that's what the red flag law allows. D.A. Archer. It has nothing to do with legal loopholes. It's who's been in bed with those tax records, and they're going to reflect. Maybe you want to look at it a little harder. Liberty Smith, what's the alternative besides Trump? Well, right now we have no alternative. All we can do is pray for our president. I'm not bringing you this to anger you. I'm just trying to make you aware of what this president that we support is doing to our Second Amendment. Please, President Trump, please don't prove, America, that you are a rhino. Please don't prove to us that you are a Republican in name only. It's time you stop crumbling under the pressure from your far left daughter, your liberal, libtard daughter, Ivanka, and her libtard husband. I knew when you first got them into your White House that they were going to be influencing you. And I know she's your daughter and you love her. I can't help the fact that you are not blessed with her, but you have her anyway. Let me tell you, Mr. President, you're walking on thin ice. You're walking on the edge of that razor blade. And when you fall off that razor blade, you better hope and pray you fall off to one side or the other, because if you fall down the middle, it's going to split you in half. And that's what you're doing. You're splitting the middle. How can you support red flag laws when I believe probably because of your rhetoric, as the Democrats say, and because you're a racist, and because you're a misogynist, and you're all these things, and you've been accused of it, you're not allowed to have a gun. How's that feel, Mr. President? You don't qualify to have a gun if I don't qualify to have a gun. Who do you think you are? You are the President of the United States, and we love you. But I'm not going to give you a pass on the Second Amendment. So tell me, Mr. President, when are you going to get up there and tell your daughter to take a hike? And you stand up for the American patriots that support you, that voted for you, and you hope will vote for you in 2020. But keep it up, Mr. Trump. See what happens. You know, the Demon Rats had a walk-away movement from the Demon Rat Party. That could happen to you, my friend. Second Amendment people don't like being played with. And you, with this red flag law, have went beyond the limits of normal thinking. But you know, it's okay. We're going to get through this, and they're not going to take our guns, no matter what they try to do. But I pray that President Trump will come to his senses and stop placating to these demon rats and jumping on the bandwagon right off the bat. I mean, without any, not even a debate, not even a study, not even a meeting. He wants to do these things to our Second Amendment. President Trump, I love you. I support you. I pray to God you win in 2020. But this is the second time you've attacked our Second Amendment. You don't get a third time. I don't think I stand by myself when I tell you that 3 strikes and you're out, President Trump. I don't want to see a demon rat in office, don't get me wrong, I don't. But I won't vote for you either if you attack our Second Amendment again. And you've got just over a year to do that. It seems like every year you hit the Second Amendment. Well, this year, let's see if you do it again. You don't like what I'm saying? I'm easy to get in contact with, Mr. President. I'd love to have a talk with you. See what we got. We will never comply. You're right, Stake 59. Who else will you vote for? I'll tell you who I'll vote for. I'll vote for Doug Collins from Georgia. Great patriot, great Republican. He's got a pair. He ain't scared. Maybe we need to be looking at Doug Collins for 2024. Oh, I'm hoping, don't get me wrong, DM, I am not denouncing our president. I'm not saying I'm not going to vote for him. As long as he stops placating to the demon rats. Right now, he's under a lot of pressure. I understand that. But I don't care. What I care about is my Second Amendment rights. That's what I care about. And you should too. You can support a president and still not be happy with every decision he makes. So I'm going to change the topic. I got 23 minutes left, and I'm going to do the best I can. Liberty Smith, DM, you're right. Collins should run in 2024. He's a great patriot. He's from Georgia, and they know him all over the United States for his bulldog tactics and his strong stance when it comes to standing in the face of a demon rat. Spirit Talker, you're right. The president needs our prayers. He needs our prayers more than he needs our condemning him. He needs our prayers. We need to pray for him. Crow Minion, how you doing, brother? Glad to see you. Let's see here. Dems have flat out said they will repeal the second, so it may not. Oh, you're right, man. DA, you're right. In 20 years, if the demon rats ever get back in office, we may lose our Second Amendment. We may lose all of our constitutional rights. We may become a socialist nation. I mean, we can become a nation where people are in the streets because they have nowhere to live and no food to eat. We can be socialist, just like Bernie and AOC want us to be. But it's not going to be in my lifetime. One dirty, rotten imbecile, I'm glad you're here. Forbidden information, I'm glad you're talking to people. Stephen, amen. Prayers for Trump. Let's pray for the man. Let's not condemn him. Let's pray for him. I was just bringing this information to you because I didn't know if you'd heard it or not, but I know it bothered me. And I know it bothered a lot of Second Amendment supporters. So anyway, we're off of that topic. I want to talk a little bit about my passion. I'm going to talk a little bit about my friend, Michelle. Michelle and I at Forbidden Information, we're on a quest to go to D.C., and we're going to go to D.C. and we're going to talk to some congressmen, some senators. We're going to talk to any high-level politician or aide that we can possibly get to talk to us. We're going to go up there and we're going to ask the hard questions, and we're going to demand the hard answers. We're going to be filming this thing the whole time. Either I'll be filming her, or she'll be filming me, or maybe even we'll get a third person that'll go with us. We're still hoping that more people will join us on this quest and go to D.C. with us. It'd be fantastic to have 4 or 5 of us go together. We could make a true impact. But Michelle and I are going to make an impact anyway, because we're going to talk to people like John Scalise, maybe Doug Collins, who knows. We're going to be knocking on doors, and we're going to be asking for just 5 minutes of their time. So we'll see what happens. And in the meantime, Michelle's busy. She's on the internet. She's sending letters. She's sending emails to these congressmen and these senators. And she's telling them that we want time to talk to them. And she's getting some good, positive feedback. So if you can help us get to D.C., it'd be greatly appreciated. We both live on a fixed income, but support Michelle. I want you to support me, but please, if you can't support the both of us, support Michelle. Help her get to D.C. Believe me, I don't want to spend money out of my pocket to go up to D.C. for 10 days, but I'm going either way. So if you can't support both of us, support Michelle. Somebody put Michelle's PayPal link up there. I want to make sure that she gets a shout out for this. Tony Patriot, thank you, buddy. I'm glad to see you here. But now I want to talk about the topic that Michelle and I are so adamant in bringing to you, because it needs to be heard and people need to know about abortion, how it is in America, and what's going on. So for the next 17 minutes, I'm going to talk to you about abortion. If I didn't talk about our preborn children, I'd be doing a disservice to my channel and to my friend Michelle. Every single baby born in America deserves proper medical care and attention. And people, that's just common sense. If you have a baby that survives an abortion, it's only common sense that you render aid and give it attention and medical care. Where in the world would anybody in their right mind even have the thought, well, I'm not going to render aid to that baby. I'm going to let it die. Where does that come from? How deep in the pits of hell does that come from? How can a person make a conscious decision to let a preborn child who survived an abortion lay there and suffer and die? I don't understand. It's common sense. Render aid to the living. But yet Michelle and I continue to learn, and so far, too many cases where babies are born alive during a failed abortion attempt, and they are denied that crucial medical care, and they're left to die on a cold, hard examination table. Liberals in D.C. aren't just ignoring this horrific problem. They're placating to it. Nancy Skeletor Pelosi is actually preventing the House vote on protections for born alive babies after a failed abortion. Can you believe that? Nancy Pelosi, a professed Catholic. Now, I'm not running down the Catholic Church, but I'm telling you now, you cannot be pro-abortion and be a Catholic in good standing with the church. But yet, here we have Skeletor Pelosi bringing this to the House floor for a vote. So these children that are born alive have no protection. This is an absolute outrage, and Pelosi is going against her professed religion, Catholicism. She goes against everything the Catholic Church stands for, but she claims to be a Catholic. Nancy Pelosi, you are a liar and you are a hypocrite. Hell will bust wide open for you, I'm sure. How can Dems claim to be part of the people, to be the party of the people when they blatantly ignore protection for newborn babies who survive a murder attempt on their young lives? Sorry to say, these demon rats are simply too extreme. They're too extreme to support anything sensible, anything meaningful, any kind of legislation that makes sense anymore. They just don't know how to do it. Every demon rat seeking to be president supports the repeal of the Hyde Amendment. The Hyde Amendment's been here for a long time, and Biden was one of the architects of the Hyde Amendment, which says no federal funds will go for abortions, so no taxpayer paid abortions. Well, now these demon rats are wanting to overturn that, and they're wanting to pay for the abortions. Not only do they support them, not only do they want them, they are now willing to pay for them. Can you believe the murder of these babies? The Hyde Amendment, all by itself, since it came into law, has saved over 2 million babies from being aborted and dying on that cold, hard examination table. The damn stance on abortion is extremism, plain and simple. There's no other way to describe it. It's extremism. The Dems are extremists in every issue that matters to the average American, but especially when it comes to abortion. They are pro-abortion no matter what. Why? Why are they so adamant in killing our preborn babies? Why is it so important to them? I don't understand. I know it's a money-making business. But why? Why do you support the murder of a child? How extreme can the Democrats go? Look at Congress. Representative Ann Wagner introduced a bill called the Born Alive Abortion Protection Act, a simple bill that ensures a baby born alive during a failed abortion attempt to be given the same medical care as any other baby born alive. That makes total sense. It makes complete sense. Anybody who would not render aid has to be evil in their heart. You know, when I was a paramedic, it was my obligation. If I saw somebody needing aid, it was my obligation to help them. And I still would today if needed. But these babies born alive get no attention whatsoever. The Born Alive Act is narrow in scope, but it addresses the real problem, and it saves lives. Plain and simple. It addresses the problem and it saves lives. The lives of preborn babies. This year, the House of Representatives have made 80, get this, 80 different unanimous consent requests to vote on this Born Alive Act. 80 times the Republicans have put this before Congress, and 80 different times the demon rats dismissed it. Somebody, please, somebody tell me, what does it take to be a demon rat? Do you have to be a murderer? Is that what it takes? Because 80 times in the last year, Republicans have put forth legislation to save these poor babies who are survived during an abortion attempt. Just to render them medical aid. That's all we're asking. And the demon rats 80 times said no. It destroys everything that God has ever taught us. Thank you, Liberty Smith. Yeah, we know they're all hypocrites. You're right, Terry Christ. The high-ups, I believe in my heart, yeah, the Illuminati is involved, as well as a lot of other entities, such as Satan. But God says, they say the opposite. You're right. Whatever God says, they say the opposite. So how can these demon rats even look themselves in the mirror in the morning? I don't understand how they can sleep at night when all they do is preach abortion. Abortion, abortion. They preach it to the high hills every day. And if it's not abortion, it's open borders. If it's not open borders, it's free education. If it's not free education, it's free housing. If it's not free housing, it's free Medicare and Medicare for all. So you see, all they want to do is give away everything that we hold dear in America. That's what the demon rats do, is destroy America, little by little. But they've gotten bold. So let's see how far they go in 2020. You know, I want to tell you a little bit about this guy. Y'all know who that demon rat mayor is from South Bend, Indiana? His name is Pete Buttigieg, something like that. I'm just going to call him Pete. But he knows exactly who to blame after those shootings in El Paso and the shootings in Dayton, Ohio over the weekend. He knows exactly who to blame. This idiot, this demon rat hopeful, this failed mayor, pointed specifically to weak gun safety measures and white nationalism as the culprit after the El Paso shooter was linked to anti-Mexican statements. Well, of course, I believe I heard that first he was a Republican, and then they had to back off of that. He was a Trump supporter, and they had to back off of it because they found his whatever social page where he was talking about wanting to kill Mexicans. Mexicans, people that died in El Paso, people that died in Dayton, Ohio. I pray for you. I pray for you. I wish that it never happened. I'm not doing this video promoting this guy, but I want to give you a little information. And it's not so much about the shooter, is what these demon rats are doing about it. The mayor said, and I quote, "This is terrorism, and we have to name it as such. And the name is white nationalist terrorism. We need to acknowledge this is a problem," and he claimed that white nationalism has been condoned at the highest level in Washington, D.C. So now Trump is condoning those murders. In no way is it white nationalism. It's condemned. But what's being censored? I want to know what's being censored. I want to know the truth behind these shootings. In my opinion, they're false flags. Sure, the people died, sure enough. It was terrible. It was sad beyond belief. Should never have happened. But I'm going to tell you, these demon rats are not above murder. They're not beyond murdering for their agenda. I believe that in my heart. I don't think for a minute it would bother them to silence people. And the mayor, I can't even call his name, Buttigieg, he asserted that there's a dire need for tougher gun laws to prevent mass shootings in the future. We are the only country with more guns than we have people. And I hope it stays that way. The NRA is no longer a spokesperson for gun owners anymore. It speaks only for the corporate gun lobby. Well, people, I don't believe him, but here's the way it goes. He says we cannot allow the Second Amendment to be a death sentence for thousands of Americans every year. We need gun control now. And this is what's taken President Trump over the edge again, too quickly. He's jumping the gun. He's ready to jump on the bandwagon with these demon rats, because I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you know it or not, President Trump was a Democrat for decades. And not too long before he decided to run for president did he jump over to a Republican. And he's got that libtard daughter of his, Ivanka. Why don't he listen to his sons? They're pro-gun. Maybe he needs to listen to them instead of her butt. You know, he gave her too much power to begin with. But anyway, it doesn't matter about her and her libtard husband, because they're speaking in the president's ear and they're leading him down the wrong path when it comes to the Second Amendment. President called for reforms in mental health and gun laws, including red flag laws, to remove guns from those who pose a public risk. Now, wait a minute. How do they know that this person poses a public risk? It's like I said earlier. It's going to be because your girlfriend or your buddy or your neighbor or somebody that you know got ticked off at you and said, well, I'll fix him. I'll turn him in. And that's all it takes. My mother could turn me in right now to the Dallas City Police Department, and I guarantee you, by tomorrow morning, they would be here and they would take a search of my house and they would take every gun here. Granted, they might have to search for a minute because I have a few hidden. But they would find every gun I have. And all it takes is one person to say that you're a threat to society or to the public or to yourself. And they come and take your guns. President Trump, you were wrong to do this. You were wrong when you ban bump stocks so quickly without having any facts or information on the whole issue. You're doing it again. And still we have suppressors left. I know that's going to be next on the agenda unless you totally go overboard with this law and you start confiscating guns, which will be your downfall and the downfall of America. President Trump, I support you. I have to. I don't have a choice. You're all we've got. Like one of my commenters said a while ago, well, what are we going to do after Trump? People, he could be replaced. He can be replaced. I don't think it's going to happen, and I'm not looking to replace him. I'm looking for him to grow a pair again and to stand up for American patriots, the people who put him in office, the people who keep him in office, the people who protect him, the people who are with him until he does something stupid like this. Granted, if there's a psychiatrist or a doctor, or even the police, who have encountered a person who seems unstable, yeah, okay, I can understand. Maybe you go see a judge and say, hey, judge, I witnessed this guy, and he's going to be a danger, so we need to go take his guns away, and maybe even put him, in a lockup for 72 hours to see if he's, give him a psycho evaluation. But people, that's a different story than your brother, your sister, your neighbor, your mother, your wife, your friend turning you in because they're pissed off at you. I'm going to tell you, if somebody is angry at you, somebody doesn't like you, all they have to do is turn you in. Now that Trump is pushing this red flag law, we've got to stop the red flag laws. We don't need the red flag law. We need a law that says that psychiatrists and doctors who find people to be unstable, maybe we should investigate them a little deeper. But not the average American that walks the street. People, I want to thank y'all for being here. It's 9 o'clock straight up. I try not to go over, and I got most everything said I wanted to say. But I want to thank each and every one of you. DM, I want to thank you so much for being here. I was afraid that you're going to be hanging out with that other guy over there that's got all them subscribers, but you showed up and you proved your loyalty, and I am so grateful to you. And you're the best mod going, and I'm glad you're here. I'm so grateful you're here, DM. Liberty Smith, dirty, rotten imbecile. One dirty, rotten imbecile. Ski Man 21632. Glad you're here, brother. T-Raz, Spirit Talker. Ron, my buddy, Dangerous Freedom. And I know, LOL, please. But I always give you a big shout out, DM. You are great. Crow Minion, have a good one, Bobby. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad you all made the trip. 3%er report. Thank you, my friend. I'm glad you're here. I hope to see you again. I don't know how many people are in the chat. I'll find out probably on the replay when I check this thing out in the morning. But I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to let y'all go. I got a couple of phone calls to make. I got to call Liberty Smith, and I got to call my buddy Spirit Talker. I might even call Dangerous Freedom for a minute. I always like to check in with them, and they always tell me that, Bobby, you really screwed up. So that's a good deal. I love you, people. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for showing up. I'll be back Friday night at 8 o'clock and then Sunday night at 8 o'clock. But before I go, I haven't given my shout-outs. Thursday night, 8 p.m., Tony Patriot goes live. Check him out. If you don't know Tony Patriot, be there. 8 p.m. tomorrow night. He also goes live at other times, so just watch. Hit the bell icon and you'll know when he goes live. And then you have DM and History Beat. I messed up last week and said Friday night, but they are on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Check them out. DM's great. She's got all kinds of information. And History B is a school teacher, and I'm going to tell you, she's smart, and she puts some good information out there. Sunday mornings, you got Knight's Armory. Check him out. 7 p.m. Sunday night, you have Disabled Vets Perspective. Check out Alex. Give him a big shout out. Then when you're done with him, come see me. Forbidden Information comes on most nights at 10 p.m. Sometimes after my videos, she'll come on a little early. And I wish she'd come on right after. That way I could just automatically watch her, because I'm a early to bed, early to rise kind of guy. And when I do my videos, I stay up late. And 11 o'clock is late for me. So, everybody, I love you. And remember, Friday night at 8 p.m. But before I go, I have to take a moment. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, God, we thank you one more time for being here tonight. Lord, you have blessed us beyond our needs. We're grateful to you, Lord, for all the blessings you've given us. And Lord, I thank you for the people here in this chat tonight. I thank you for the opportunity, Lord, to talk to these people and to share what I have to say. Lord, you give me that option. And Lord, thank you so much for coming into my life and dwelling in my heart. Lord, I pray tonight that if there one be among us that doesn't know you, I pray they come to find you tonight, dear Lord. And Jesus, in Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. Everybody, y'all have a good one. We'll get this thing over with, and I'll see you Friday night. Y'all have a good one. Talk to you later.